Once, in a realm beyond human understanding, where time flowed like a river and souls were but whispers on the wind, the keeper of life and death, Elyon, called upon one of his messengers. This messenger was a being of light, swift and loyal, who had never questioned Elyon's will. "Go," Elyon commanded. "A woman's time on earth has come to an end. Bring her soul back to me." The messenger bowed and descended swiftly to earth. As he arrived, drifting silently into the world of men, he found the woman's lifeless body lying in a small, humble cottage. But something made him pause. There beside her were 3 tiny girls' triplets, no more than a few months old. One still suckled weakly at her mother's cold breast, unaware. The second screamed in hunger and sorrow, her cries echoing against the quiet walls. The third had cried herself to sleep, her tiny cheeks stained with dried tears. The messenger's heart tightened. He had witnessed the passing of thousands, but this tore at something deep within him. The girls had no father. He had died months earlier in a tragic accident, and now, with their mother gone too, there was no one left to care for them. The messenger stood motionless. He knew his duty, but he could not do it. He could not take the soul of this mother and leave 3 helpless children alone to perish. So he returned to Elyon empty-handed. When he arrived at the celestial gates, Elyon's presence loomed vast and powerful. "You disobeyed," Elyon said, his voice like distant thunder. "I did," the messenger admitted, "but I couldn't bear to leave those little girls. One was still holding on to her mother, another was crying with all her strength, the third had already cried herself into silence. I thought, perhaps, she could stay just a little longer, just until they're old enough to survive." Elyon's expression turned cold. "You think you know better than I? You think you understand fate more than the one who weaves it?" The messenger lowered his gaze. "For this," Elyon declared, "you shall be punished. You will go to earth, and you shall not return until you laugh at your own foolishness 3 times. The messenger nodded solemnly. He didn't understand how he would ever laugh, let alone at himself. He still believed he had done the right thing. Cast down to earth, the messenger awoke shivering in the cold, naked and alone by the side of a winding road. He had no memory of divine power, no food, no shelter, just silence and wind. Not far away, a humble cobbler named Malin was on his way to the city. Winter was near, and he had saved up a few coins to buy warm clothes and blankets for his children. As he walked, he spotted the messenger pale, trembling, and curled up by a tree. Malin's heart softened. Without hesitation, he turned back, used his coins to buy a blanket and warm clothes for the stranger, and returned. "Come with me," he said, helping the messenger up. "You'll stay with us. My wife? Well, she won't be pleased. The money was meant for our children, but don't worry, her anger will pass." When Malin brought the messenger home, his wife indeed exploded in rage. "You spent everything on him?" she yelled. "And what about our children? Do they not matter?" The messenger sat silently through her shouting, but then something unexpected happened. He smiled, then softly he laughed. Malin looked puzzled. "What's so funny?" "I'll explain once I've laughed 3 times, the messenger said. "For now, just trust me." What made him laugh was not her anger, but the irony. She was so focused on what they had lost that she couldn't see the blessings about to enter their lives. She had no idea a divine being now sat in her home, one who would soon change their fate. As days passed, the messenger began learning the cobbler's craft. Though he had never touched leather before, his hands moved with unnatural precision. Within weeks, he made shoes more beautiful than anyone in the city had ever seen. Customers flooded in. Word spread far and wide. Soon, Malin's once struggling shop became the most sought-after shoemaker's shop in the kingdom, their home filled with laughter and warmth. The children had more than enough. Then one day, a royal servant arrived, holding a rare piece of soft, deep brown leather. "This is for the king," he said. "Make shoes, but only shoes, no sandals. Be warned, if you make anything else, there will be consequences." In that land, sandals were considered burial wear. The message was clear. Malin handed the leather to the messenger. "Be careful," he said. "There's only enough for one pair. One mistake could cost us everything." But when Malin returned later, he found, to his horror, that the messenger had made sandals. "What have you done?" Malin cried. "You've killed us! I told you clearly no sandals!" At that, the messenger burst into laughter. His second laugh. Before Malin could scold him further, the royal servant burst back into the shop, breathless. "Change of orders," he said. "The king has just passed away. We need sandals for his burial." Malin froze. He turned slowly to the messenger, realization dawning. How did you know?" The messenger placed a hand on his shoulder. "I didn't. Not exactly. But some things are meant to be, even when they don't make sense." Malin dropped to his knees in apology, but the messenger lifted him up. "There's nothing to forgive. I'm simply serving my time." The messenger had laughed a second time because he had witnessed the futility of worry. People tried so hard to plan for the future, but none could truly see it. His sandals, once seen as a mistake, had become exactly what was needed. Weeks passed. The messenger thought often of the triplets he had once wept for. He still wondered what had become of them. One evening, 3 young women entered the shop, laughing softly among themselves. Each was radiant, graceful, and full of life. Behind them stood an elegant older woman. They were there to order wedding shoes. All 3 were engaged, each to a man from a noble family. As the messenger watched them, his heart skipped. Could it be? He looked closer. Though grown, their features still held traces of the tiny faces he had once seen. "Please," he said gently to the older woman. "Forgive me if this sounds strange. But these girls, where did they come from?" The woman smiled. "I found them many years ago, 3 tiny babies, abandoned in a cottage. Their mother had passed away. I had no children of my own, and something told me to take them in. I raised them as mine. They've known nothing but love and prosperity." The messenger felt his breath catch, his eyes welled up, and then he laughed, for the 3rd and final time. That night, he sat with Malin and told him everything. About Elyon, about his punishment, about the 3 laughs. "I was wrong," he said, his voice soft. "I thought I could outwit fate. I thought those girls would suffer if their mother died. But they were already being watched over. Life had made a way for them. I just couldn't see it." He looked at the stars above. We only see the moment, the pain, the confusion. But life sees the whole picture. And with that, his time on earth came to an end. He vanished in the night, returning to the celestial realms. But he did not go back the same. He was wiser, humbler, and finally at peace. Moral of the story. Sometimes, the most painful moments of our lives are pieces of a bigger, beautiful puzzle we can't yet see. We worry about the future, question what's happening, and feel lost in sorrow. But life has a way of unfolding exactly as it should, even when it seems unfair, even when we don't understand. So, have patience, keep faith, and remember what may seem like a setback today could be the very thing that brings you a miracle tomorrow. Goodbye,